Hey guys, welcome back to Mindtales Sleep Stories. I'm really glad you're here tonight. Wherever you are, whatever kind of day you've had, this story is your little pocket of calm, a space where nothing is expected of you, and you don't need to achieve or solve anything. You're just here to rest, to drift, to soften into the edges of your evening. Tonight's story is a special one, slow, imaginative, a little whimsical, and gently psychological. It explores dreams, wishes, secrets, and that odd, familiar feeling of wanting something without fully knowing why. But remember, this video is meant for relaxation and sleep. You can like, subscribe, or comment, but only if you really feel like it. No pressure at all. This is your unwind time, not a to-do list. So before we begin, go ahead and dim the lights if you can. Let the room grow a little softer, a little warmer. Get cozy, under a blanket, against your pillow, whatever helps your body settle. Take a slow breath in, and let it fall out naturally. You don't have to force anything. Just allow yourself to be here. Tonight, we follow you as you wander into a quiet, dusk-lit marketplace, where a peculiar merchant has arrived. A man who sells dreams the way others sell spices, or lanterns, or hand-woven scarves. He trades them not for coins, but for secrets, memories, feelings, and promises. And even though you've never met him before, something about him feels familiar, like a half-remembered melody, or a line from a story you once loved as a kid. This tale unfolds gently, with stretches of peaceful silence, soft moments of reflection, and a drifting, floating sensation, like walking through a dream before you've even fallen asleep. So just let the pace carry you, the slow rhythm of the words, and let your eyelids grow a little heavier each minute. Let's step into the story now. The night is waiting, and so is he. The dream merchant. You first notice him as you wander through the quiet outskirts of an old village. The kind of place that always seems to smell faintly of warm bread, wood smoke, and stories. The marketplace stalls are mostly closed, their awnings tied down, their lanterns unlit. Evening has gathered itself into a soft blue scarf that drapes over the rooftops. The air feels cool but gentle, brushing your skin like velvet. You don't remember planning to come here. In fact, you're not even sure what drew you out for a walk at this hour. But sometimes you find yourself drifting without direction, following a feeling instead of a map. You've done it countless times in your life. Wandering down a familiar street when you need clarity, or pacing the living room in slow circles when your thoughts feel tangled. Tonight has that same quiet aimlessness, but then you see it. A single tent still open. It stands at the far edge of the square, lit by a lantern that glows with a strangely soothing shimmer. Not golden, not white, but something softer, like moonlight diluted with warm milk. The tent fabric is a deep violet, stitched with tiny silver constellations. They shimmer even though there's no wind, as if reacting to your presence. A wooden sign leans beside the entrance. The lettering is handwritten, looping, a little uneven. The Dream Merchant. Dreams traded fairly. No coins accepted. You blink once, then again. It feels like something from a storybook, the kind with gently yellowed pages and illustrations that always looked a little too alive. Curiosity nudges you forward. You approach the tent slowly, hearing a faint hum from within. A humming that sounds suspiciously like someone tuning their voice to the exact frequency of falling asleep. It's strangely comforting, like hearing a lullaby from 3 houses away. You step through the curtain. Inside, the world changes. The air is warmer, scented with something like lavender mixed with old paper and rain on rooftops. Shelves line the tent from floor to ceiling, stacked with small glass bottles of every shape and color. Some swirl with tiny glowing clouds. Others contain little flecks of silver, drifting like snow at half speed. A few hold swirling ribbons of soft blues, purples, and pale golds. Dreams made visible, gently spinning in their jars. At the center sits the merchant. He's older, or maybe ageless. It's hard to tell in the soft glow. His clothes look like they were stitched from pieces of forgotten night skies. His eyes are warm and tired in a way that suggests he's seen thousands of dreams and listened to even more confessions. He looks up at you as though he's been expecting you for a very long time. "Ah," he says, with a small, knowing smile. "You arrived right on time." You frown slightly. Right on time for what? You didn't make an appointment. You didn't even know this tent existed until moments ago. The merchant doesn't seem bothered by your confusion. "People only find this place when they need something," he says, gently adjusting a jar that glows like breath on a cold morning. Most don't know what that something is until they see it. He gestures toward the shelves behind him. "Dreams," he explains simply. "Not just the ones you see at night. I also keep the dreams you once had and misplaced along the way. The ones you were told were unrealistic, the ones you grew too busy to nurture, and the ones you tucked away out of fear. They were too fragile." Your breath catches. You don't know why, but something in you reacts. Not dramatically, just a soft internal tug, like a small ache you forgot you were carrying. "How much?" you ask before you can stop yourself. He chuckles. "No coins," he reminds you. "Not for dreams. I trade only for things of equal weight." You glance around at the glowing bottles. "What kind of things?" He leans back, hands resting loosely in his lap. "Oh," he says, with the softness of someone who's asked this question 1,000 times. "Little things. A truth you haven't said aloud. A memory you no longer need. A fear you're willing to set down. A promise you're ready to make to yourself. Any of those will do." You swallow. It's oddly reasonable. Unsettlingly reasonable. Then he tilts his head, looking at you with quiet curiosity. "So," he says, "tell me, what brings you to my tent tonight?" You open your mouth to answer, but the truth is, you don't know. Not yet. The merchant studies your hesitation with gentle interest, not impatience. He seems to know that words sometimes take their time, like a shy animal that needs to approach slowly. "Let's make it simple," he says, rising from his stool. His movements are slow and deliberate, as though he exists at a slightly different pace from the rest of the world. He steps toward a shelf and carefully selects a bottle. A small one, shaped like a teardrop, filled with a warm, golden swirl that shifts like liquid morning. He holds it out to you. "Here," he says, "hold this." You do. The bottle is surprisingly warm, like it's been sitting in the sun even though you know it hasn't. The gold inside stirs gently as your fingers curl around the glass. "What is it?" you ask. He doesn't answer immediately. Instead, he watches you watch the bottle. The glow feels strangely familiar. Not in a literal sense, but in a way your body recognizes. Deeply, instinctively. It reminds you of something soft. A childhood morning when the world felt safe. A moment when you believed something fully and without doubt. A tiny spark of some forgotten optimism. When you speak again, your voice is quieter. "It feels nice." The merchant smiles. "Most forgotten dreams do." You look up sharply. "Forgotten?" He nods. "Not lost, not abandoned, not broken, just set aside, Because life becomes loud, responsibilities pile up, other people's opinions grow heavy. And dreams, well, dreams tend to wait patiently until you're ready to remember them. Your chest tightens in a way that isn't painful, more like something shifting, loosening. What dream is this, you ask? That, he says, is for you to recognize. Dreams don't like being labeled before they wake up. You stare at the golden swirl, mesmerized. The longer you hold it, the more you sense something stirring. Not the kind of stirring that demands attention, but the gentle nudge of a memory resurfacing. The merchant sits back down and folds his hands. Now, he says softly, the trade. You blink. The trade? He nods. For every dream you take, you must give something of equal emotional weight, something you've been holding on to longer than necessary. You open your mouth, prepared to argue that you're not carrying anything like that. But the words never make it out, because somewhere inside you, a truth shifts. You are holding something, and you know it. But it's small. It feels small, too small to matter. As if sensing your thoughts, the merchant smiles kindly. Small things, he says, tend to weigh the most. You look at the bottle in your hand again. Its glow pulses once, faint but noticeable. What do I give? You ask quietly. He doesn't hesitate. A secret, he says. Just one. You don't have to tell it to me. You only have to admit it to yourself. You feel suddenly exposed, though he hasn't pried or pushed. It's just hard. The idea of acknowledging something you've avoided. The merchant sees your hesitation and gestures toward a long cushion along one wall. Sit, he says gently. Take your time. Dreams don't like to be rushed. You do. You settle onto the cushion, holding the warm bottle in both hands. The tent feels smaller now. Not in a claustrophobic way, but in a comforting blanket fort kind of way. Outside the walls, night continues its slow drift. But inside, time seems to pause. Your breath deepens without effort. And slowly, so slowly it surprises you. A truth rises in your chest. Something you haven't said aloud. Something you've brushed aside for months, maybe years. Something you keep tucked in the quiet corners of your mind. You don't speak it. You simply acknowledge it. And the moment you do, the golden swirl inside the bottle brightens. The merchant watches with calm approval. There, he says softly. The trade is accepted. The bottle warms even more. Not hot, just comfortingly warm, like someone placing a steady hand on your shoulder. The golden swirl settles, glowing softly. You may keep it now, he says. You look up. Keep what? He smiles. Your dream, he answers. The one you forgot you still wanted. You stare at the bottle in your hands, feeling its gentle weight, and the sudden, unexpected lightness inside yourself. You don't know what comes next, but you feel ready to find out. The bottle continues to glow softly in your hands, and for a long moment you simply sit there, letting the warmth seep into your palms. It's a small warmth, but surprisingly steady, like a candle flame shielded, cupped between two caring hands. You breathe out, and it feels easier than before. Not dramatic, not transformative, just easier. The way you exhale after finally putting down something heavy you'd been carrying for so long that you forgot it was heavy in the first place. The merchant watches you with a kind of distant fondness, like he's observing a familiar pattern he's seen in countless travelers before you. The slightly bewildered look of someone experiencing relief they didn't see coming. You felt it, didn't you? He says quietly. You nod, though you don't trust your voice yet. It's odd. You haven't spoken the secret he asked for. You didn't confess anything aloud. And yet the act of acknowledging it, just to yourself, felt like a tiny click inside, as if some internal mechanism finally unlocked after years of staying stuck. The merchant rises and sweeps the curtain slightly open. A thread of cool night air slips into the tent. Beyond the entrance, the village is now washed in deeper shades of blue, the lanterns outside extinguished fully. Night has arrived without hurry. "Come," he says. "Dreams like to breathe the night air before they settle." You follow him outside, the bottle still glowing faintly in your hand. The village square is empty and peaceful, the worn stones beneath your feet still holding traces of the day's warmth. Overhead, a scatter of stars peeks between drifting clouds, the kind that move slowly enough to make you feel the world isn't in any rush. The merchant steps to the edge of the square and looks up. "Most people expect dreams to be grand," he says, "loud, dramatic, life-changing." He smiles, but the truth is, dreams begin in small ways, in moments like this, when you're simply willing to notice them. You follow his gaze to the sky. One star pulses a little brighter than the others, just once, as though winking at you. The merchant notices your attention. "Ah," he says gently, "your dream recognizes you." You blink. "Recognizes me." He nods. Dreams don't vanish when forgotten. They wait, patiently. He gestures toward the bottle. Now that you've reclaimed yours, it's trying to remember how to shine for you again. You hold the bottle a little closer, the glow reflecting softly on your skin. The merchant then turns to you with a more curious expression, one eyebrow lifting slightly. "Tell me, how long has it been since you allowed yourself to want something?" His tone is not accusatory, just curious, the way someone might ask when you last opened a window to let fresh air in. Your answer is immediate. You don't even have to think about it. "A while," you say. The merchant chuckles softly. "A very popular answer." He moves back toward his tent, motioning for you to follow. "Dreams don't require urgency," he says, "but they do require honesty, and you've just taken the first step." Inside the tent again, he gestures toward the shelves filled with countless bottles. "Now, every dream has a companion," he explains, "a guide of sorts, something that anchors it, helps it grow." "Like what?" you ask. "Oh, it varies," he replies, scanning the shelves. "For some, it's courage. For others, patience. Sometimes it's curiosity. Sometimes it's forgiveness. But in your case..." His voice trails off as he reaches for a small wooden box tucked between two jars. He opens the box and reveals a single feather, pale silver, shimmering faintly like moonlit water. "This," he announces, "is your dream's companion." You stare at it. "A feather?" you ask, unsure whether he's joking. He nods with absolute seriousness. "Not just any feather. This one once belonged to a night bird, a creature that sings only when the world is quiet enough to hear it." You frown. "A metaphorical bird, right? Or..." The merchant shrugs. "Depends entirely on your definition of real." He places the feather in your free hand, and you instantly feel something shift. A faint, gentle lightness in your chest, like air moving more freely between your ribs. "What does it do?" you ask. "It reminds you," he says simply, "of gentleness, of softness, of the fact that the dream you're reclaiming doesn't require force. It only needs space." You let that sink in. The words feel calming and unsettling all at once. Then, with great care, the merchant packs the bottle and the feather inside a small cloth pouch and hands it to you. "Your dream is awake now," he says, "but it isn't fully grown. There's more to uncover." You look up at him. "What do I do next?" He smiles warmly. "You walk," he says. And you listen, and you let the dream speak. The merchant steps aside, motioning for you to exit the tent again. But this time, when you step outside, the village doesn't look exactly the way it did a moment ago. At first, the differences are subtle. The shadows are softer, more fluid. The stars appear slightly larger, glowing with a pearly sheen. The air carries the faint scent of something sweet. The delicate, drifting fragrance of blooming night flowers you're certain weren't here earlier. You blink once, twice. "Is this still the village?" you ask quietly. The merchant emerges behind you, tying the tent's curtain open as though preparing for a long night. "Yes," he replies. "And no." You turn toward him. "That's not helpful," you say. He chuckles. You've stepped into the seam between the waking world and the dreaming one, a place where things blur a little, where the mind loosens its grip. You feel a shiver, not of fear, but of recognition. It feels familiar, like those moments right before sleep, when reality softens around the edges and the world becomes pliable, dreamy, almost liquid. "Are we dreaming?" you ask. "No," the merchant says. "Not yet. This is the space where dreams are shaped, where they decide how they want to grow." He begins walking down a narrow street that curves between old stone buildings. You follow, your footsteps echoing softly. The pouch with the dream bottle bumps gently against your hip. As you walk, you notice that the village seems both ancient and untouched. Lantern posts carved from cedar, windows draped in gauzy curtains, cobblestones smoothed by centuries of footsteps. Yet everything glows faintly, bathed in blue and lavender hues. The merchant gestures toward a small fountain in the square. "Sit," he says. You do. He sits beside you. For a moment, neither of you speak. Only the sound of trickling water fills the air. Water that glows faintly, like liquid starlight. Finally, he breaks the silence. "Tell me," he says gently, "what did the secret feel like?" You hesitate. It's strange to talk about something you didn't actually verbalize, but you know exactly what he means. "Heavy," you say softly, "but small, like a pebble in a shoe. You don't notice it at first, but eventually you can't walk without feeling it." The merchant nods approvingly. "A perfect description." He dips his fingers into the glowing fountain, letting the light ripple outward. "People underestimate small burdens," he says, "but they shape everything. Posture, pace, direction, mood. When you finally remove them, the body remembers how to move without tension." You think about that. The relief you felt earlier, the way your breath loosened. "Dreams grow best," he continues, "when carried by someone who isn't weighed down." You open the pouch and hold the bottle again. The golden swirl inside moves slowly, like a small galaxy drifting in honey. It pulses once, a warm, gentle heartbeat. "What does it want?" you ask. The merchant tilts his head. "Dreams don't want things," he says. "They invite things, freedom, curiosity, movement. That's why they reappear when life feels stuck." You fall quiet. You think about the moments lately where everything has felt heavy, sluggish, repetitive. The quiet longing for something you couldn't fully name. The sense that you were moving through your days on autopilot, like living underwater. Maybe the dream knows you better than you know it. "Where are we going?" you ask after a moment. The merchant rises slowly. "To the place where your dream was born," he says, "or where it first began forming, long before you forgot it." You stand and follow him. The street stretches ahead of you, glowing faintly. As you walk, something shifts inside you. Not a revelation, but the gentle sense that a story you once loved is about to continue After a very long pause, the village transitions gradually into a path that winds toward a quiet hillside. The air feels warmer now. Not physically warmer, but emotionally warm, like walking into a memory you haven't thought of in years. The merchant walks slightly ahead, his pace unhurried. As you climb the gentle slope, you notice something odd. The night sky above you changes the higher you go. Stars slide softly across the horizon. Constellations bend, reshaping themselves into forms you think you recognize but can't quite place. It's like the sky is rearranging itself to tell a story in a language you used to know. Finally, you reach the top of the hill, and there it is. A small wooden bench. Old, simple, weathered, but familiar. You don't know why. You've never seen this bench before. Logically, at least. But something in your chest tightens with recognition. The merchant gestures for you to sit. You do. He leans on his cane, looking out at the valley below. A dreamlike landscape stitched together with lavender fields, drifting silver mist, and distant clusters of glowing rooftops. "This is it," he says softly. "The place where your dream first took shape." You stare at him. "I don't remember this," you say. He nods. "You don't need to. Your body does." Your fingers tighten slightly around the pouch at your side. "What happened here?" you ask. The merchant looks at you with an expression both gentle and deeply knowing. "You wanted something," he says. "Something important. Something honest. Something that felt like hope." "What was it?" you whisper. He shakes his head. "That is not for me to name." You look down at your hands. You don't remember the moment he's describing. Not consciously. But the feeling of it hums inside you, like the echo of a feeling you once had. The desire to change something, to begin something, to be something. The merchant sits beside you. "Dreams don't disappear," he says. "They wait for you to return." The wind shifts softly, brushing across the hilltop. The stars above pulse faintly. You open the pouch and lift the bottle once more. The golden swirl inside glows brighter, warm, steady, patient. And for the first time, you feel something stir inside you in response. Not clarity, not certainty, just readiness. A quiet, slow readiness. The kind that grows in the spaces between breaths. The merchant rests a gentle hand on your shoulder. "Shall we continue?" he asks. You inhale deeply. "Yes," you say. "Let's continue." You rise from the old wooden bench, the dream bottle glowing faintly in your hand. The air around you feels slightly thicker, like the atmosphere after a warm rain. Soft, humid, full of quiet potential. The merchant begins walking down the other side of the hill, and you follow. The path illuminated by pale patches of moonlight shifting through high, drifting clouds. The landscape changes quickly, subtly, the way scenery morphs in a half-remembered dream. What was once a gentle hillside becomes a soft slope, leading into a valley blanketed in tall, silver-tipped grass. The grass sways in slow, rhythmic waves, each movement synchronized like a silent chorus breathing together. Every blade catches the moonlight and bends it, scattering tiny glimmers across the valley like scattered hopes waiting to be picked up again. The merchant doesn't speak for a while, and neither do you. The silence feels intentional, a space for something inside you to settle. For a long moment, the only sound is the brushing sway of the grass and the low hum of the dream bottle in your palm. Finally, he speaks. "You know," he says lightly, "dreams never vanish because a person stops believing in them. They vanish because a person begins believing in something else more, usually doubt." You blink, startled by how easily the words land. He continues, people think doubt is the opposite of dreaming. It isn't. Doubt is simply fear, wearing the clothing of logic. You open your mouth to respond, but the words don't come. Because he's right. You've told yourself countless times that certain dreams didn't make sense, weren't practical, weren't responsible. And each time, it wasn't logic that stopped you. It was fear whispering this might hurt if you try. The merchant gestures for you to follow him between two tall clusters of swaying silver grass. They part around you like a curtain, and you step into a narrow path illuminated by glowing firefly-like motes. They drift slowly through the air, their light steady but soft, like tiny lanterns carried by invisible hands. One of them floats close to you, hovers near your shoulder, then drifts away as though satisfied. What are those? You ask quietly. Fragments, the merchant replies. Pieces of dreams left behind by others who passed through here. They're harmless. Some stay, some drift away, some rejoin their owners. You watch the little light bob through the air and feel a strange tenderness for it, as if every floating spark is a tiny wish belonging to someone who once stood where you stand. The path widens into an open clearing. In the center stands a circular stone platform, smooth and pale, etched with swirling patterns that resemble both constellations and river currents. The designs pulse faintly with bluish light, like breathing stone. What is this? You ask in a whisper. The first remembering, the merchant says. This is where a dream begins to speak. A gentle shiver runs through you. Speak? You echo. He nods, motioning for you to stand on the glowing platform. You hesitate only a second, then step forward. The moment your foot touches the stone, a soft warmth spreads upward, traveling through your legs, your spine, your ribs, your chest. It's not hot, more like the warmth of someone draping a thick blanket over your shoulders on a cold morning. The glowing patterns beneath your feet brighten slightly, shifting in gentle pulses that line up with the rhythm of your breathing. The merchant stands at the edge of the platform, hands clasped in front of him, watching. Close your eyes, he says softly, and listen. You do, and the world changes. Not dramatically, not with the suddenness of a dream, more like the subtle shift of tuning into a different frequency. The air becomes denser with silence. Not empty silence, full silence. The kind that vibrates faintly, humming behind the eardrums, the kind you feel in your bones more than you hear. The dream bottle warms in your hand. And then, something stirs. Not a voice, not words. Something softer. A feeling. A memory. A gentle tug behind the ribs, like the beginning of a thought you once had every morning before waking, became heavy with responsibilities and routines. You stand very still. You breathe. And the dream breathes with you. When you open your eyes again, the merchant is still watching you. But his expression has changed subtly. There's something almost proud in his eyes, as though you've just taken a step he knew would challenge you. What did you feel? He asks gently. You hesitate, searching for the right word, but none of the literal ones fit. It felt like... You begin slowly, like remembering something without actually remembering it. The merchant smiles warmly. A perfect description. He steps onto the edge of the platform, careful not to interrupt the glowing patterns beneath your feet. Every dream begins as a feeling before it becomes a thought, he explains. People forget this. They look for clarity, definition, structure, when all they need to do is listen to what stirs inside. You look down at the swirling patterns beneath you. They've rearranged slightly, forming shapes you don't quite recognize. something drifting between the form of a path, the curve of a bird's wing, the gentle rise of a hill. "What does this mean?" you ask, pointing at the shapes. "Nothing literal," the merchant says. "Dreams use impressions, not instructions." You exhale slowly. "So what am I supposed to do with this impression?" The merchant lifts a brow. "What does it make you feel?" You have to think about it. Or rather, unthink about it. Approach it not with logic, but with sensation. And then it comes. It feels like... Your voice softens. Movement, but gentle, like moving forward without forcing myself. The merchant beams. There it is. Your dream is waking. You feel your heartbeat shift, not faster, just more present. The air around you ripples slightly, and the firefly-like motes drift closer, circling the platform in slow spirals. Their soft glows sync with the pulse of the stone beneath you, as if joining the rhythm your dream is creating. The merchant steps off the platform and gestures for you to follow. "Your dream will continue waking," he says, "but it needs a guide." You frown. "A guide?" He nods. "The feather," he reminds you. "Its companion." You reach into the pouch and pull out the silver feather. It shimmers like the wing of a bird made of moonlight. When you hold it up, a faint breeze stirs around you, as if the feather itself is calling to something unseen. "Walk with it," the merchant says. "It will show you where to go next." You step off the platform. The ground beneath your feet feels slightly different now. Warmer, softer, more responsive. The valley around you seems alive with a quiet glow. The stars above pulse gently, shifting with your movement. You begin walking, the silver feather leading the way. It tilts subtly in your hand whenever you veer off the path, nudging you forward with tiny, deliberate angles. The merchant follows a few steps behind, not guiding, just observing, letting the dream guide you instead. The path leads into a grove of tall, slender trees with pale bark and leaves that glow faintly blue. They sway as you pass, as if greeting you. The breeze rustles through them in soft, melodic tones, like wind chimes made of glass and memory. "How is this happening?" you ask quietly, entranced. The merchant chuckles. "You are remembering what dreaming feels like," he says. "That is all." You keep walking. The grove deepens. The soft glow intensifies. Then the feather flicks sharply to the left. You follow, and step into a clearing. At its center is a pond, but not like any pond you've seen before. The water is still and mirror-like, glowing with a soft, silver-blue sheen. The surface reflects not just the sky, but something deeper. Patterns of swirling light, drifting shapes, gentle pulses of color. The merchant steps beside you. "This," he says softly, "is the pool of unspoken questions." You swallow. What does that mean? "It shows you the questions you've carried but never voiced," he replies, "the ones that shaped you quietly." You stare at the water. Your heart beats once, heavy, then again, softer, and then the surface begins to shift. The water ripples. Not outward, but inward, like the pond is inhaling. Glimmers of light trace delicate patterns across the surface, swirling into shapes that are almost recognizable, but not quite. You take a slow step closer, peering into the shimmering liquid. For a moment, all you see is your reflection, softened by the dreamlike glow, edges blurred, eyes calmer than you expected. Then the reflection begins to shift. It tilts its head in a slightly different way than you do. It blinks slower, breathes deeper. You freeze. "What is that?" you whisper. The merchant's voice is warm behind you. "That is you," he says. "The version of you that asks questions, You haven't allowed yourself to answer. You stare at the reflection. Your reflection stares back, but with a quiet kind of courage, a softness that feels unfamiliar, a steadiness that feels possible. The water stirs again, and words begin to form beneath the surface, not spoken aloud, but visible as drifting lines of light. Questions, not in sentences, but in impressions. You watch them rise. What do you truly want? The light fades. Another line appears. When did you last feel free? Another. What dream did you stop believing you deserved? Your chest tightens softly, not painfully, just with a deep, human ache. The merchant steps to your side, speaking in a low, reassuring tone. These are not questions you need to answer tonight, he says. Dreams do not ask for urgency, only honesty. You nod slowly. The feather in your hand shimmers, casting pale silver ripples across the pond. The reflection blurs, then stabilizes again, this time softer, calmer, as if acknowledging your willingness to see it. Then the water glows brighter, a gentle surge of encouragement. What do I do now? You ask quietly. Sit, the merchant says. Listen. Let the question that calls to you rise to the surface. You lower yourself to the edge of the pond, legs folding beneath you. The stone is cool but smooth. You place the pouch with the dream bottle in your lap and rest your other hand lightly on the ground for balance. For a moment, nothing happens, just the soft pulse of the pond, the gentle glow of the grove, the steady warmth of the dream bottle. Then the water brightens. A single impression rises, clearer than the others. Not words, not quite. More like a feeling pressing gently into shape. You inhale softly. The merchant observes but does not push. Finally, the impression becomes clear enough to name. A question you've been avoiding for a very long time. What would your life look like if you allowed yourself to want again? The words echo inside your chest, not loud, but steady. The merchant places a calm hand on your shoulder. This is where your dream begins to grow, he says softly. You stare at the pond, feeling the question settle into you like a soft weight. Not heavy, but grounding. You don't answer it. You simply sit with it, and for the first time in a long time, sitting with a question feels enough. You sit beside the shimmering pond, its surface glowing softly with drifting lines of light that seem to breathe in rhythm with the night around you. The question still lingers inside your chest. Not heavy, but present, like a warm stone resting against your heart. What would your life look like if you allowed yourself to want again? You trace the words in your mind slowly, as if turning them over in your palm. The question doesn't accuse you. It doesn't demand an answer. It doesn't rush. It only invites, gently, warmly. The way a familiar melody invites a hum, or a quiet evening invites a deep sigh. The merchant settles on a nearby stone, his posture relaxed. He doesn't interrupt your silence. Instead, he lets the quiet stretch out, giving you the space to let your breath fall into a slower rhythm. The silver feather in your hand shimmers faintly, catching the soft glow of the pond. After a few moments, he speaks in a low, steady voice. You don't have to answer in words, he says. Just let the feeling form. You let your shoulders drop. Let your breath deepen. Let your gaze drift across the pond's glowing surface. And slowly, something begins to take shape inside you. Not a clear image, not a detailed plan, just a sensation. A widening, a softening. You didn't realize how narrow your days had begun to feel until this moment. How quiet the inner voice of your longing had become. How often you had told yourself later, without noticing that later kept drifting farther away. You dip your fingertips into the water. The pond responds instantly, light blooming outward like ripples of liquid moonlight. The reflection stirs, and another impression rises to the surface, soft and expectant. If you allowed yourself to want, what would grow? Your breath catches slightly, because for a moment you feel the answer, not in words, but in possibility. The merchant nods as though he feels the shift inside you. Dreams expand where they are welcomed, he says. They don't require perfect circumstances, only permission. He rises slowly, brushing invisible dust from his robe, stitched with starlit threads. Come, he says gently. There is more to see. You stand, the dream bottle warm against your side, the feather shimmering faintly in your hand. You give the pond one final glance, a silent thank you, before following the merchant into the softly glowing grove. The path leading away from the pond winds through the grove like a quiet river of light. The trees around you sway gently, their glowing leaves casting patterns that drift across your skin like soft brushes of warmth. Every few steps, a firefly-like mote floats near your shoulder, following for a moment before drifting off toward another cluster of trees. The merchant walks at a steady pace, his robe rustling softly. Tell me, he says without looking back, what did that question feel like? You consider it. It felt like... You exhale slowly. A door opening. One I didn't know was closed. The merchant smiles at this, though his back is still turned. Most people forget to check if their doors are still unlocked, he says lightly. Sometimes a dream only needs a little draft of fresh air. You walk a little further. The air shifts, becoming warmer and sweeter. The trees thin out, revealing a meadow lit by tiny floating lights, drifting in slow spirals, weaving gentle patterns that dance above the grass. The merchant stops at the edge of the meadow. This, he says, is the field of echoed wishes. You blink. Echoed wishes. He nods, stepping into the meadow. The lights drift toward him in greeting. Here, he explains, you will hear the echoes of wishes you once made, even the ones you whispered only once in your life. Your breath stills. I don't know if I want to hear those, you admit. He turns to face you, his expression soft. That is why you must, he says gently. Not to relive them, not to regret them, but to remember what they taught you. You take a slow step into the meadow. The grass is warm beneath your feet, as though holding the memory of countless suns. The drifting lights gather around you, shimmering like small celestial messengers. And then it begins. A soft hum in the air, so faint at first that you think it might be the wind. But the wind doesn't sound like voices layered gently atop one another. The hum grows into muted tones, then faint whispers, then clear, delicate threads of sound. You recognize one. A wish you made years ago, quietly, just before falling asleep. A wish for a moment of peace during a stressful time. The echo of it is soft, gentle, touched with hope. Another follows. A childhood wish, something small and earnest, about wanting to be brave enough to try something you abandoned long ago. The echo is innocent, warm, and strangely tender. You feel your chest tighten gently, not painfully, as if each echo is touching a part of you that has slept too long. The lights swirl around you, forming a loose spiral. Each passes by your ear with a faint brush of warmth, carrying soft whispers of long-ago desires. None of them demanding, none of them sharp. Just memories of wanting. Proof that you once let your heart wander freely. The merchant watches you with quiet attentiveness. You feel them, he says. You nod, swallowing softly. "I didn't know I still carried these." "You carry everything that shaped you," he says, "but not everything needs to remain heavy." One light drifts close, closer than the others. It hovers before your chest, glowing softly. The whisper is different. Not a wish from childhood, not a wish from stress or fear, but a wish woven from longing. A wish you made quietly in your adult years. Simple, honest, deeply human. You inhale sharply. "I'd forgotten that," you whisper. "No," the merchant says gently. "You hid it, and now it wants to be seen." You reach out. The light touches your palm. Warm, soft, feather-like. And in that brief contact, the echo fades, not disappearing, but settling peacefully inside you, like ink drying on a page that you finally chose to read again. The meadow quiets. The whispers soften. The drifting lights return to their gentle spirals. The merchant nods. "Good," he says. "You listened." And that is enough. The merchant leads you toward the far edge of the meadow, where a narrow archway of woven branches forms a natural gate. The branches glow faintly, illuminated by small blossoms that shift between pale blue and soft lavender hues. As you step beneath the archway, the world beyond it feels subtly different, quieter, warmer, as though the very air has exhaled. The path opens into a small, tranquil valley, nested between rolling hills. Here, the night sky looks closer, as if the stars have drifted downward to keep watch more intimately. Their glow casts soft shadows across the valley floor, where clusters of luminous flowers sway gently in the breeze. The merchant stops and turns to you. "You have listened to your unspoken questions," he says. "You have heard the wishes you once tucked away. Now there is one more thing your dream needs from you." You hold your breath for a moment. "What is it?" you ask softly. He steps closer, placing a hand over the pouch where the dream bottle rests against your hip. "Permission," he says. You blink. "Permission for what?" "For possibility," he answers calmly. "Your dream cannot grow if it is constantly compared to the expectations of your past or the fears of your future. It needs permission to exist, simply because it matters to you." You swallow. The words settle deeply, as if they are exactly the thing you've avoided giving yourself. The merchant gestures to the valley around you. "This place," he says, "is where dreams expand, where they stretch their wings, where they begin to remember what they were meant to become." He points to a small hill at the center of the valley. A warm glow pulses from its peak. "Climb," he says. You take the first step toward the hill. The air thickens slightly, warm and vibrant with possibility. Each step feels a fraction lighter than the one before. Halfway up the hill, you feel the warm hum of the dream bottle intensifying. Not in urgency, but in anticipation. The silver feather trembles faintly in your hand, as though responding to the dream's awakening. When you reach the top, you stop. The glow comes from a single stone pedestal, simple, smooth, round. On its surface lies a shallow bowl of carved crystal, filled with a softly swirling golden light. The merchant joins you, breathing calmly beside you. "This," he says, "is where your dream takes its first true form." You step closer to the crystal bowl, heart beating softly, steadily. "What do I do?" you ask. The merchant places a hand over your own, guiding you to lift the dream bottle. "Open it," he says. You inhale deeply. Your fingers loosen around the cork. You open the bottle, and the dream begins to rise. The moment the cork leaves the bottle's neck, a soft golden glow spills upward, like warm breath on a cold night. The light doesn't rush out. It drifts, slow and graceful, rising in a smooth ribbon that curls like smoke made of sunlight. The air hums faintly, not with sound but with sensation, a gentle vibration that settles into your skin like the pulse of a quiet heartbeat. The dream hovers above the bottle for a moment, as if acclimating to the open air. Then it expands, gently, cautiously, stretching itself like someone waking from a long, restful sleep. The merchant stands beside you with quiet reverence. "Let it take its shape," he whispers. "Dreams prefer to reveal themselves slowly." The golden ribbon widens, forming swirling patterns that glow brighter with each pulse. You feel warmth against your face, a soft radiance that reminds you of early morning sunlight slipping through curtains in a room where you feel completely safe. As the dream begins to spiral upward, it reflects something. Not a clear image, but a feeling. A familiar feeling. One you haven't allowed yourself to feel fully in a long while. Recognition opens softly inside your chest. Not clarity, not definition, but recognition. The dream curls inward, then extends outward like a hand reaching toward you. Inside the swirling light, impressions flicker. Warm landscapes, gentle moments, small visions that resemble memories, but aren't memories. Possibilities, maybe, or echoes of who you once wanted to become. Your breath catches. The dream glows once more, and then dips lower, settling just above the crystal bowl on the pedestal. It spreads, forming a kind of luminous pool that ripples like living light. You take a step closer. "What do I do now?" you ask, your voice soft. The merchant places a gentle hand on your shoulder. "Now," he says, "you let it show you what it remembers." The swirling golden pool brightens, and shapes begin to form. Vague at first, like shadows behind a curtain. Slowly they sharpen, though never into full details. Dreams speak in metaphors, after all, not literal images. A soft path appears, illuminated, winding, bordered by warm light. Beside it, a small silhouette moves forward with confident steps. The silhouette doesn't look like you, but feels like you, like the version of yourself who once believed deeply in something. A younger part of you, a braver part of you, a part you haven't visited in a very long time. Your throat tightens. The merchant notices. "Dreams remember our courage," he says, "even when we forget." The golden silhouette pauses, turning its face toward you. No features, but somehow, it smiles. You inhale softly. Your chest feels warm, tight, tender, like the beginning of a deep, overdue truth rising to the surface. You want to reach out. But before you can, the dream shifts, swirling back into pure golden light, waiting patiently. The merchant steps forward. "Ask it something," he says. You blink. "Ask the dream something." He nods. Dreams can answer, not always with words, but with direction. You swallow, feeling the weight of possibility settle into your voice. "What should I ask?" He smiles. "Whatever you've been afraid to." You look into the bowl of swirling light, the soft movement, the gentle warmth, the shimmering promise. And without overthinking, without filtering, without protecting yourself from the vulnerability of your own longing, you ask, "What do you want me to become?" The dream responds instantly. The light expands, not outward, but inward, pulling you into a soft, engulfing glow. You don't step forward. It pulls you gently like a warm current, inviting your awareness closer. The vision shifts again. This time, you see not a silhouette, but a shape. A growing glow, rising like a sunrise. The light doesn't form a picture, but a feeling. Freedom, ability, movement, self-trust. It's not telling you to become something new. It's reminding you to return to something old, something true, something yours. Your breath shakes quietly. The merchant places a steadying hand on the pedestal. There, he says softly. It knows you remember. The dream's light softens, folding gently back into the bowl, like a flower closing at dusk. The warmth fades from bright to tender, the glow settling into a steady pulse that matches the rhythm of your breathing. You step back, and the world around you seems to shift, not visually but emotionally. The air feels clearer. The valley feels wider. You feel softer inside, as though something hidden has just unfurled. The merchant observes your posture change. You felt it, he says. You nod. You don't have words for it yet. The sensation is too delicate, too new, too meaningful to articulate. But you feel lighter, like a knot inside you has finally loosened. The merchant taps the pedestal lightly with one finger. Now your dream understands you're listening, he says, and that matters more than anything else. You take a slow breath. What happens next? You ask. He smiles, the kind of smile that holds both kindness and mystery. Now, he says, you must meet the part of yourself that stopped believing. Your stomach tightens slightly, a reflexive flinch, not from fear but from the recognition of something deep, something familiar, something shadowed. The merchant gestures for you to follow him down a narrow path leading away from the glowing hilltop. The path curves gently along the slope before descending into a quiet, dimly lit hollow, nestled between two hills. The air grows cooler here, but not cold, just shaded, muted, introspective. The darkness is the safe kind, like the interior of a cozy room lit only by a candle. You feel an instinctive sense of caution, not danger, just emotional depth. What is this place? You ask. The merchant steps aside, allowing you to look ahead. A small stone arch stands before you. Carved into it are thousands of tiny markings, each one unique, each one glowing faintly like chalk under moonlight. The impressions shift subtly as you look at them, forming patterns that resemble flickers of memory. This, the merchant says quietly, is the gate of unmade decisions. Your breath stills. He continues, everyone carries a version of themselves who stopped believing, not out of weakness, but out of necessity, a version burdened by old doubts, old fears, old responsibilities. He looks at you with warmth. Tonight, you will meet them. You swallow softly. Why? You ask. Because a dream cannot grow, he answers, until the part of you who gave up understands it is safe to hope again. Your chest tightens, tender, aching, human. The merchant gestures toward the arch. You don't have to walk through, he says gently, but I believe you're ready. You look at the glowing markings, breathing slowly. You feel the weight of your past, the moments where you almost tried again, the moments where you hesitated, the moments where you chose practicality over possibility, the moments where you said not now, until not now, quietly, became never. The invitation is soft. The fear is familiar. The need is honest. You take a step forward. The markings glow brighter. You take another. The air grows warm. You pass through the arch. And the world shifts. The hollow beyond the arch feels like stepping into a memory. Not a specific one, but a blend of all the quiet moments where you felt doubt, hesitation, or the urge to shrink. The space is dim but peaceful, illuminated by the faint glow of drifting motes that float lazily through the air. A soft echo moves across the hollow. Not a sound, not a voice, but the whisper of a feeling you recognize intimately. You take a slow step inside. The ground beneath your feet feels familiar, like the surface of a path you've walked many times in your mind without realizing it. The gentle glow reflects off smooth stone walls surrounding the area, their surfaces shifting with faint impressions. Silhouettes of old choices, old worries, old almosts. Then you see it, a figure sitting at the center of the hollow. Not quite you, but almost. The figure is curled slightly, arms around their knees, posture soft but tense. Their features are blurred, as though made from fog with the faintest outlines of your face beneath. They don't look sad, they look tired. The deep kind of tired that comes from carrying things alone for too long. You take a slow breath. The merchant steps behind you, placing a hand on your shoulder but remaining silent. You step forward. The figure looks up, and there, through the soft blur, you see your own eyes reflected back at you. Not broken, not defeated, just hesitant, protective, guarded. You kneel in front of them, unsure why tears threaten your eyes, not from pain, but from the tenderness of recognition. This version of you speaks first in a voice that sounds like memory. "I didn't stop believing because I didn't care," they say softly. "I stopped because it hurt to keep hoping." Your breath catches. You nod gently. "I know." The figure's posture trembles faintly. "I tried," they whisper. "I tried so hard. But life kept getting louder, and I got tired of disappointing myself." You move closer. "I'm not here to blame you," you say quietly. "I'm here because I'm ready to believe again, and I want you to come with me." The figure's blurred features soften, like fog warmed by sunlight. "Is it safe?" they ask in a trembling voice. "To hope?" You reach out and take their hand, warm, trembling, familiar. "Yes," you say. "It's safe, not because everything will be easy, but because you're not alone anymore." The figure exhales, a long, shuddering breath, and their outline begins to brighten, dissolving slowly into a warm, gentle glow. They lean forward, pressing their forehead to yours, and as they fade into you, merging, returning, softening, you feel a weight lift from your chest that you didn't even know was holding you down. The hollow brightens, the air warms. The merchant steps forward, his voice soft with pride. "There," he says. "You've reunited with the part of you who stopped believing. Your dream can grow now." You stand, slowly, feeling taller inside, lighter, more whole. The merchant lifts his staff. "Now," he says gently, "let us return. Your dream has a new form to take." When you step back through the stone arch, the air shifts in a subtle but undeniable way. The valley feels warmer, brighter, not in temperature, but in spirit, as though the land itself sensed what you've just reclaimed. The drifting moats glow a little stronger, and even the soft night breeze carries an undertone of quiet encouragement. The merchant walks beside you in silence for a few steps, hands clasped behind his back. His expression is thoughtful, proud, but also gentle, like someone who knows that inner work is delicate, sacred, and not to be rushed. "You feel different," he finally says. You open your mouth to respond, but the words don't come. Because it's true, but you can't name the difference yet. It isn't dramatic, not an explosion, not a revelation. Just a soft, steady lightness inside your chest, a sense of unity, of reunion, of something clicking into place. It feels... You pause, searching. Quieter, but in a good way. The merchant nods. Yes, when the part of you that stopped believing no longer has to fight alone, the noise inside you settles. Doubt becomes less sharp. Fear becomes less loud, and dreams have room to breathe. You inhale slowly. Your breath feels deeper now, fuller, like it's reaching places inside your ribs that have felt closed for years. As you walk, the silver feather in your hand shifts slightly, once to the left, then straight ahead, guiding you toward a narrow path framed by tall grass that shimmers like watered silk. It rustles softly, almost musically, like chimes made from moonlit petals. "Where are we going?" you ask. "To where your dream will take its next shape," the merchant replies, "now that all parts of you are listening." You follow the feather's directional pull into a smaller glade of pale-leaf trees. The leaves glow softly white, like snowflakes suspended mid-fall. Each step feels like entering a quieter, more intimate space, like stepping into the memory of someone speaking gently in a room lit only by candles. The merchant stops before a wide, flat stone, set like a table in the center of the glade. "This," he says, "is the stone of alignment." You raise a brow. "Alignment of what?" He gestures lightly at your chest with 2 fingers. "You." You blink. "I thought the reunion with the old me was the alignment." "That was acceptance," the merchant says. "But acceptance is not alignment. Alignment is when your dream, your desire, your courage, and your present self begin to move in the same direction." You exhale softly. "That sounds like a lot." He chuckles, "Which is why we do it slowly." He motions for you to stand before the stone. You place the silver feather upon it. The feather glows faintly, quivering with a pulse that echoes the rhythm inside your chest. Then the merchant nods toward you. "And now, place your hand beside it." You do. The moment your palm touches the cool surface, a low hum rises beneath your fingers, steady, warm, as if the stone itself recognizes you. "Close your eyes," the merchant instructs. You swallow, inhale, and obey. At first, there is only darkness, then warmth, then a soft sense of openness. And then, impressions begin to form. Not visions, not memories, not fantasies. Intentions, subtle, quiet, deep. A desire to feel free. A longing to choose without guilt. A wish to reclaim something you once stopped reaching for. A hope for movement. Not fast, but steady. A yearning to be gentle with yourself. These intentions rise slowly, like bubbles rising through warm water, each glowing softly in the space behind your closed eyelids. "These," the merchant whispers, "are the pieces of your alignment." You feel something inside you shift, clicking into a configuration that feels both new and deeply familiar, like a puzzle forming its picture, like a melody remembering its next note. Your fingers warm on the stone. The feather glows brighter, and the merchant says softly, "Now open your eyes." You do. The feather has transformed. No longer a simple silver shimmer, it now glows with golden undertones, reflecting the dream's awakening. The lines of the feather pulse gently, like veins filled with light. You blink in awe. "It's changing," you breathe. "No," the merchant corrects gently. "You are. The feather changes with you." You lift it carefully from the stone. It feels warm, alive, aligned. The merchant leads you deeper into the glade, where the trees arch overhead in braided curves, forming a canopy that glows like starlight woven into branches. You notice how the leaves sway gently, though you feel no breeze, their movement subtle and delicate, like they're responding to your presence. The path slopes downward into another small valley, this one more intimate, enclosed by walls of shimmering foliage. The ground here is soft, covered in a carpet of moss that glows faintly with each step, leaving warm footprints that fade slowly behind you. At the center of this valley stands a tall, narrow pool, long and still, its surface glassy as polished obsidian. But instead of reflecting the sky, it reflects something else entirely. Your breath catches. It reflects you, not as you are now, but as you could be. Or rather, qualities of you, possibilities, shapes of self. You step closer, heart thudding softly. What is this place? You whisper. The mirror of becoming, the merchant says. It shows not a future, but the different ways your dream can unfold. Your chest tightens, not with fear, but with anticipation mixed with vulnerability. This is the kind of place you don't visit lightly. Look, the merchant says softly. Let it show you. You approach the mirror-like pool, standing at its edge. The surface ripples once, then stills entirely. And then the reflection begins to shift. At first, you see a version of yourself standing tall, shoulders relaxed, eyes filled with calm assurance. This version of you looks steady, neither rushing nor shrinking. Someone who moves with clarity and quiet confidence. The reflection changes again. Now you see yourself immersed in something that brings deep fulfillment, focused, creative, alive. Not perfect, not flawless, just engaged, present, connected. Then it shifts once more. You see yourself older, softer, but with a gentleness that radiates from within, a peace earned not from avoiding life, but from accepting it. A version of you who did not abandon your dream, but grew with it. You swallow quietly. Your throat is tight. The reflections fade, softly, gracefully, until the pool returns to its original stillness. You feel the merchant standing beside you, silent but supportive. What does it mean? You ask, your voice hushed. That, he says, is who you become when you let your dream guide you instead of your fear. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the truth settle. It feels heavy. It feels light. It feels real. When you open your eyes, the silver and gold feather glows softly in your hand, as if echoing your heartbeat. A single, quiet question rises inside you. Am I allowed to become that person? The merchant does not need to hear it aloud. He answers anyway. Yes, he says gently. More than aloud. The glow of the pool dims slightly as you step back, its surface returning to calm obsidian stillness. The valley grows quieter, as though giving you space to absorb everything you've just seen, everything your dream has shown you. You take a long, slow breath. Your chest expands easily now, as if each inhale reaches further than before. The merchant walks ahead of you, motioning for you to follow. There is one final step for tonight, he says. Your dream must be anchored. You blink. Anchored? Yes. Dreams drift unless they're given something solid to grow from. And an unanchored dream, no matter how beautiful, can feel unreachable. You feel a faint pang of understanding. Like something always just out of reach, you murmur. He nods. Exactly. You follow him toward a small rise in the valley floor. At the top sits a simple stone pillar, waist high, its surface smooth and glowing faintly from within. This is the anchor stone, the merchant explains. Here, you will choose a single intention, a simple one, something small, something you can carry into your waking life. Your stomach tightens slightly. Like a promise, you ask. No, he says. Promises can become pressure. This is not about pressure. It is about direction. He smiles softly. An intention is a compass, not a contract. You exhale slowly, relieved by the gentleness of the idea. The merchant continues. Your dream will shape itself around the intention you place here. Not fully, not immediately, but subtly, quietly, like roots taking hold beneath the soil. He steps back. Approach when you're ready. You walk toward the pillar. The glowing surface reflects your features faintly, softened, golden, almost dreamlike. You place your hand upon it. The stone warms beneath your palm, then pulses once, as though recognizing you. An intention rises in your mind. Not forced, not panicked, just there. A simple direction. You don't speak it aloud. You simply hold it in your mind, gently, like a leaf carried between two fingers. The stone glows brighter. The feather in your hand warms, and the dream inside your pouch hums softly, responding to the intention you're giving it. A quiet moment passes. Then the merchant's voice breaks the silence. It is done. You pull your hand back slowly. The pillar's glow fades to a soft, steady warmth. You step away, and immediately feel a subtle shift inside your chest. The sensation is delicate, like an internal compass turning a single degree towards something true. You look at the merchant. What happens now? You ask. He smiles. Now, he says, your dream will begin to take shape. The night around you deepens. The stars glow brighter. The air settles warm and still. A new chapter of the dream is waiting. The valley seems to inhale with you, as though the land itself recognizes the intention you've placed on the anchor stone. The air grows warmer, softer. The glow from the pillar dims to a steady, ember-like radiance that feels almost like a heartbeat beneath the ground. You take a step back, the dream bottle warm against your side, the silver and gold feather glowing faintly in your hand. The merchant watches you with an expression that is both serene and quietly triumphant. An expression of a teacher who knows the most important lesson has just taken root. How do you feel? He asks gently. You take your time answering. You scan the space inside your chest, the newly opened room where heaviness once lived. I feel, you pause, lighter and heavier at the same time. The merchant smiles knowingly. Yes, that is the feeling of a dream finding its footing. He gestures for you to follow him once more, and together you leave the anchor stone behind. As you walk, you notice the faint glow from the pillar continues to follow you, not literally, but emotionally, like a warm presence lingering behind your ribs. The path leads out of the small valley and into a winding corridor of tall reeds and soft, drifting light. The reeds sway slowly, whispering against one another like pages of an unwritten book, turning in a subtle breeze. As you walk, the dream bottle emits a soft hum, harmonizing with the rustle of the reeds. You glance down. The golden light inside the bottle has changed. It is warmer, brighter, more alive, as though it has taken that intention you placed upon the stone and shaped itself around it, wrapping it gently like a seed in fertile soil. What happens next, you ask? Now, the merchant says, we nurture it. You arch a brow. Nurture? How? By giving it awareness, he answers. Dreams grow through clarity, presence, and acceptance. They need to be understood by you, and to be understood, they must be illuminated. You frown slightly. Illuminated how? The merchant chuckles softly. Not with light, with honesty. He stops before a small wooden bridge arching over a shallow stream. The water glows a tender, pearly silver, and tiny motes of light float above the surface, like drifting sparks of memory. This, he says, is the stream of clear seeing. You step closer. The air above the stream is cool and crisp, carrying the faint smell of mint and something cleaner, something like rain on smooth stones. What does it do? You ask. Shows you the belief you carry beneath your intention, he replies. You blink. The belief? Yes, he says. Intentions are powerful, but they are shaped by the beliefs beneath them, and a dream grows best when that belief is understood. He gestures to the center of the bridge. Stand there. Look into the water. You walk to the center slowly, placing your hands on the wooden rail. The water below swirls gently, reflecting the night sky, the reeds, the floating motes, and then the reflection blurs, softens, brightens, and a new shape appears. Not a face, not an image, a feeling, a belief you've carried for years. One that wrapped itself silently around your choices and whispered through your inner dialogue. At first, you don't understand it. Then it sharpens. A quiet but deeply rooted belief. I don't know if I'm allowed to want more. Your chest tightens, recognition surfacing in a slow, warm ache. You grip the railing lightly. That, the merchant says gently behind you, is the belief beneath your intention. You swallow. It's true, you whisper. I didn't realize it was still there. Not this strongly. He nods. Most people underestimate the staying power of an old belief, especially one rooted in self-protection. You stare into the water as the swirling shape shifts again, now showing the same belief, but gentler, quieter, as if ready to change. What do I do with it? You ask, your voice barely above a whisper. You acknowledge it, the merchant says, not as a truth, but as a feeling, a memory, a protector that stayed long after its job was done. You exhale shakily. Place your hand above the water, he says, and say this: thank you for trying to keep me safe. Your throat tightens. You lift your hand, hold it above the glowing surface. And quietly, tenderly, you say, thank you for trying to keep me safe. The water glows brighter, just a pulse, and the belief dissolves like ink in warm water. Now, the merchant says softly, say, I am allowed to want more. You hesitate. It feels vulnerable, raw, true. You place your hand above the water once more and say, I am allowed to want more. The stream responds instantly. The surface glows, the motes brighten, the reeds rustle in a soft rising chord. And when the water clears, a new impression rises, a belief beginning to take root. It's safe to hope. Your breath trembles. You step back from the railing, feeling something unfurl inside you like a slow, brave bloom. The merchant's eyes warm. Good, he says. Your dream has stronger soil now. You follow the merchant as the path turns away from the stream of clear seeing. The reeds behind you continue to whisper softly, their voices fading into the night as you walk toward another hill dotted with tiny bluish lantern plants. Their glow is soft and rhythmic, like 1,000 tiny hearts beating in unison. The air feels different now, charged, almost electric with possibility. The feather in your hand pulses with gentle warmth, and the dream bottle glows more brightly than ever. You've anchored your intention, the merchant says as you climb the hill, and you've seen the belief beneath it. Now, your dream needs direction. I thought the intention was the direction, you say. He shakes his head kindly. The intention is the compass, but a compass points. It does not walk. You blink. Oh. He chuckles softly. Most people never learn the difference. At the top of the hill, you find a wide ring of stones arranged in a perfect circle. Each stone is carved with a single symbol. Spirals, waves, feathers, steps, doors, leaves, each one glowing with soft silver light. This is the circle of gentle decisions, the merchant explains. You exhale softly. Another circle. Dreams are circular, he says. They don't move in straight lines like goals. They move in loops, cycles, expansions. He gestures toward the circle. Inside this ring, you will decide how your dream moves next. Not the whole path, not the outcome, just the next gentle step. You hesitate. Only one step, you ask. He nods. One is enough. Many people never begin because they try to plan the entire journey before taking the first step. You swallow softly. That feels familiar. The merchant smiles knowingly. I imagine it does. He guides you to the center of the circle. The stones hum. The symbols glow. A breeze picks up, warm, lifting the ends of your hair. Now, he says, close your eyes and let a step come to you. Not a big one, a small one, a step that feels kind. You inhale slowly. Close your eyes. The breeze softens. The ground warms beneath your feet. The feather glows faintly in your hand, and then a small, simple step rises in your mind. Not heroic, not bold, not intimidating. Something doable, something warm, something gentle. Your first step toward your dream. You open your eyes. The merchant watches quietly, patiently. Do you have it? He asks. You nod. What is it? He asks again. You breathe. It's small, you say. Really small. He smiles. That means it's perfect. You take a slow breath and place your hand on the nearest glowing stone. The symbol pulses beneath your fingers, and warmth spreads through your hand, up your arm, and into your chest. The stone's glow travels around the entire circle, one stone after another, until the whole ring pulses in soft light. The merchant nods approvingly. And now, he says, your dream has movement. You step out of the circle of gentle decisions, feeling something subtle shift inside you, like a door opening not outward, but inward. The air around you feels lighter, and even the ground beneath your feet seems to recognize your new direction. The merchant walks ahead, his steps quiet on the softly glowing earth. The dream responds to movement, he says. Even the smallest step creates momentum. You nod, still feeling the warmth of the stone in your palm. The step you chose is humble, almost surprisingly simple, yet it carries a kind of truth that feels foundational. As you descend the hill, the landscape changes again. The tall, glowing reeds give way to shorter grasses, dotted with wide, luminous petals, shaped like tiny suns. The petals close gently as you pass, as though bowing in acknowledgement. Where are we going now? You ask softly. To the place where dreams begin to reveal their shape, he says. You've nurtured it, anchored it, cleared space for it. Now it will show you what it wants to become. A soft chill runs through you, not fear, but anticipation, like the feeling right before an unopened gift begins to tear at the seams. You walk into a valley of low-lying mist. The mist glows faintly gold at the edges, curling around your ankles like warm breath. The dream bottle hums stronger now, pulsing with golden light that illuminates the fog. The merchant stops. He raises his staff. The mist parts, slowly, gracefully, revealing a wide, shimmering expanse of soft light spread across the ground like liquid dawn. At the center is a small pedestal. Not stone, not wood. Light. A pedestal made entirely of warm, pulsing light. Your heart quickens. What is that? You whisper. The merchant smiles softly. That, he says, is where your dream begins to take form. You step forward. The feather glows. The bottle warms. The mist gathers around your feet like gentle hands guiding you closer. The merchant stands behind you, his voice quiet, reverent. Place your dream on the pedestal, he says, and let it show you who you are becoming. Your breath trembles. You lift the dream bottle, open your palm, and place it gently on the pedestal of light. The moment it touches the surface, the valley brightens, the mist rises, the dream awakens, and its true shape begins to form. The moment the dream bottle touches the pedestal of light, the entire valley seems to exhale. A warm glow spreads outward from the pedestal, rippling through the mist like a sunrise blooming beneath the ground. The light rises in slow, soft waves, illuminating the fog in gentle golds and pale honey tones that make the air look thick and sweet enough to breathe in like warm syrup. You step back instinctively, not out of fear, but out of reverence. The light coming from the pedestal is alive in a way you've never seen. Not aggressive, not overwhelming, just confident. A quiet confidence, the kind you feel standing near someone who knows exactly who they are. The merchant stands still, eyes half closed, hands folded patiently. "This," he murmurs, "is a dream, remembering itself." The dream swirls within the bottle, glowing now with an intensity you haven't felt before. The warm gold curls upward inside the glass, rising like steam from a cup of tea. Then the glow expands, pressing gently against the bottle's walls, not trying to escape, but testing its shape, its boundaries, as though learning the limits of what it has been confined to. Then, slowly, the bottle begins to dissolve. Not shatter, not burst, simply dissolve, turning into gold dust that lifts from your hand and rises, weightless, into the air. The bottle's shape softens, becomes translucent, then vanishes entirely, its essence folding into the swirling light above the pedestal. You inhale sharply. "It's gone." "No," the merchant says softly. "It's free." The golden swirl rises higher, forming a soft sphere of light hovering a few inches above the pedestal. Inside the sphere, shapes flicker and shift, not clear images, but impressions, feelings, possibilities. You see gentle movement, a path, a horizon, a sense of expansion, warmth, hope, a rising softness that feels like the first deep breath after holding yourself tight for years. The dream pulses once. A warm wave rolls through your body. "Why does it feel like that?" you whisper. "Because dreams speak to the heart before they speak to the mind," the merchant replies. "Understanding comes later. Feeling comes first." The sphere brightens, then tilts slightly toward you, like a candle flame leaning toward a breeze. You feel a tug in your chest, a pull not outward, but inward, urging you to step closer, to listen. You do. The closer you stand, the warmer the air becomes. Not hot, just comfortable, like stepping into a room filled with sunlight on winter mornings. The sphere's glow reflects in your eyes, and you sense, without knowing how, that the dream is beginning to form something new. A shape, a direction, a quiet promise. You feel your heartbeat steady, settle, align. The dream pulses again. The valley responds, faint shimmering waves rolling across the ground. And you realize something. Your dream is beginning to speak. Not in words, but in truth. The sphere of light hovers with a gentle pulse, as if breathing. Each glow radiates outward, brushing against your skin in soft waves. You close your eyes for a moment, letting yourself feel it. The warmth, the subtle vibrations, the calming hum that seems to resonate with the quietest parts of your inner self. The merchant steps forward, but stays just behind your shoulder. "Tell me," he murmurs, "what do you feel?" You take your time. You inhale deeply, allowing the glow to settle into your body like warm tea sliding down your throat. "I feel." Your voice is soft, pulled, but not pressured, like it's inviting me. The merchant nods. Dreams do not demand, they invite. The sphere shifts, not physically, but energetically. A ripple moves through it, and suddenly a soft image begins to form within the swirling gold. Not a literal picture, but a symbolic impression. A small seed resting in a palm. Your breath catches. "It's tiny," you whisper, confused. "All beginnings are," the merchant replies gently. The seed image glows brighter, then dissolves. Another shape forms, softer, longer, flowing like silk in wind. A path, not straight, not rigid. A winding, natural path through soft light and warm dusk tones. You feel your chest lift, a quiet hope blooming under your ribs. It wants me to move, you say. Not move for speed, the merchant corrects, but move for living. The path dissolves. Light shifts again. Now something else forms. A hand, your hand, cupping a small flicker of flame. Not a dangerous flame. A warm one, gentle, steady. You swallow. I think it's showing me something I care about. Something you've protected, the merchant says. Something you haven't let yourself nurture. You stare at the soft flame. It flickers once, warm, like breath. Then it dissolves into gold mist. The sphere pulses again. And this time, a feeling rises from within it. Not an image, a sensation, a longing, an urge. A quiet internal pull toward something meaningful. Not dramatic, not grand, just true. You place your hand over your heart, instinctively. It feels like permission, you breathe. The pulse from the sphere answers you, a soft, affirming glow. The merchant steps closer. This, he says quietly, is your dream reminding you that you are allowed to pursue a life that feels like your own. Your vision blurs for a moment. Emotion rises, warm, gentle, safe, but deep. The sphere brightens. The valley hums. The dream is not forming a single outcome. It is giving you a direction, a pull toward truth, and an invitation to step toward it. You inhale again, slower this time, and with each breath, the soft certainty grows. Your dream is beginning to reveal itself. The light above the pedestal swirls slower now, thicker, more intentional. As though the dream knows this is the moment to gather itself. The valley grows still, almost reverent. Even the mist seems to hold its shape, glowing around your feet like a golden tide. The merchant gently touches your shoulder. Now, he says, ask it. You blink. Ask, what? He smiles softly. Ask it what it needs from you. Your breath stutters. The question feels intimate, vulnerable, as though you're asking not a dream, but a deeply personal part of yourself, what support it has long been waiting for. Still, you step closer to the sphere of swirling gold. You place the feather against your chest. Your hand trembles slightly, not from fear, but from honesty. And you ask, what do you need from me? The dream answers instantly. The entire valley warms. The sphere brightens. The mist rises in a soft wave. Then a single impression forms, clearer than anything before. Not a picture, not a word. A simple, powerful feeling. Consistency, patience, a willingness to keep choosing the small step. The dream pulses once, gently reminding you that it doesn't require a leap. It needs a rhythm. Your rhythm. You swallow. Your eyes sting with quiet recognition. The sphere lowers slightly toward you, coming closer until you feel the warmth against your face like a soft sun. And then, it touches you. Not physically, energetically. A soft brush of warmth settles in the center of your chest and dissolves into you, spreading slowly outward through your ribs, your shoulders, your arms, your breath. The glow fades. The light softens, and the pedestal dims. The dream has entered you, not as a fully formed vision, not yet, but as a direction, a warmth, a steady truth. You step back, breath trembling, heart open. The merchant bows his head. It has chosen you, he says gently, fully, freely. It trusts you to grow it. You blink at him. What happens now? He smiles. Now, he says, your dream becomes part of you. The mist around you swirls, then rises like a curtain being pulled open. The path ahead, long, soft, winding, reveals itself under the glow of the dream you now carry. Your breath deepens. Your chest steadies. The warmth inside you pulses with quiet purpose. The merchant turns toward the path. "Come," he says. "There is more to learn, more to discover, more to become." And together, you walk forward into the next chapter of your dreams unfolding. As you walk forward with the merchant, the path unfolds like a slow exhale beneath your feet. The ground glows faintly where you step, warmed by the light that now lives inside your chest. It feels different than before. Softer, steadier, something like trust woven into the rhythm of your breathing. The night around you deepens, but it does not feel dark. The sky has taken on a velvety indigo hue, with stars hanging low and large as lanterns. They shimmer faintly, pulsing in the same gentle rhythm as the dream you now carry. It's as though the whole sky recognizes your transformation and adjusts to meet it. The merchant walks slightly ahead, staff tapping softly against the glowing earth. "You've done well," he says, his voice sincere and warm. "Many people reach this point only once in their lifetime. Some never do." You furrow your brows. "Why?" He glances back, eyes soft. "Because allowing oneself to hope again is one of the bravest acts a person can do." You're quiet for a moment, letting the weight of his words settle in your bones. You didn't expect to feel brave tonight. You didn't expect to feel so whole. "I didn't know I needed this," you admit. "No one ever does," he replies. "Dreams reveal themselves only when we are ready to receive their truth." The path opens into a clearing, filled with tall, feathery plants that glow in soft blues and creams. They sway gently, creating a sound like distant waves brushing against a quiet shore. The breeze is fragrant with something warm, like vanilla, and the faintest hint of nostalgic sweetness. At the center of the clearing sits a stone bench shaped from pale marble, smooth and worn, as if thousands of dreamers have rested there over the years. "Sit," the merchant says. You do. He stands beside you, leaning slightly on his staff. "This place," he explains, "is called the Meadow of Integration." You tilt your head. "Integration?" "Yes," he says. "Here, the dream you carry settles into all the parts of you. The willing, the doubtful, the curious, the tired, the hopeful." You blink slowly. "I thought the hard part was earlier." He chuckles softly. "People often think the hardest part is confronting their fears or acknowledging their desires. But truly, the hardest part is accepting that you are worthy of the life your dream is leading you toward." Your throat tightens, a quiet ache pushing upward. The light within your chest warms. You stare out at the glowing plants, their soft swaying growing slower, as if syncing with your breath. "How do I let it integrate?" you ask. "By listening," the merchant says, "and by letting the dream speak to the places inside you, still learning to trust." He gestures around the clearing. "This meadow amplifies your inner voice. Sit in stillness. Let it tell you what you need." You breathe in, and for the first time tonight, you let yourself simply feel. At first, it is quiet, a gentle hum beneath thought, subtle and delicate. Then slowly, warmth spreads across your chest. It feels like being wrapped in a soft blanket from the inside out. Then comes a whisper, faint, not verbal, but deeply felt. You are allowed to move gently toward the life you want. Your eyes sting. Another feeling rises. A small one, timid. You don't have to rush. A third follows. You don't have to justify wanting more. You inhale shakily. A soft breeze passes through the meadow, brushing your skin like reassurance. The merchant watches with calm pride. "Integration has begun," he murmurs. You close your eyes, and let the truth settle. You remain seated on the marble bench until your breath slows, your heartbeat steadies, and the dream's warmth wraps comfortably around your chest like a gentle flame burning at just the right strength. When you finally open your eyes, the world around you has changed again. Not dramatically, but meaningfully. The meadow glows brighter, the plants now shimmering with gold undertones instead of pale blue. The sky above has softened into a gradient of midnight and deep lavender. The air feels richer, more grounded, as if the landscape itself reflects the shift inside you. The merchant steps forward. "It's time for the last vision," he says. "The last?" you ask. He nods. "A dream must show you its direction before you leave this place. Not the final form, not the destination, just the direction." You stand, feeling strength in your legs, warmth in your chest, clarity in your breath. "What do I do?" The merchant gestures toward a large oval mirror made of woven branches and soft light, standing at the far end of the clearing. It radiates a gentle glow, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. The surface within the branches isn't glass. It's soft silver water, suspended upright without dripping, shimmering as though stirred by unseen hands. "This is the mirror of becoming," the merchant says softly. "Step close. Do not try to interpret. Only observe." You approach the mirror cautiously. The closer you get, the warmer the air becomes, as though the mirror recognizes your presence. You stop a few inches away. The surface ripples. At first, it shows only your reflection, but not quite. The reflection's eyes glow faintly with golden light, and its posture is slightly different. Shoulders looser, chin lifted softly, an ease in the way it stands. Your breath catches. Then the reflection begins to shift, not into another version of you, but into scenes of possibility. You, taking small steps with gentle determination. You, creating something meaningful. You, speaking more kindly to yourself. You, trusting your voice. You, moving towards something that feels deeply aligned, slowly, intentionally. You, reclaiming pieces of yourself you once set down. You, becoming someone who allows dreams to grow without apology. Tears blur your vision, not from sadness, from recognition. "This isn't a prediction," the merchant says gently behind you. "It is a reflection of what becomes possible when you follow your dream with patience and consistency." The mirror brightens, and a single image rises above the rest. You, standing at the edge of a soft path, the same golden light in your chest that you feel now, but steadier, stronger, fully integrated. A version of you who did not abandon themselves. Your voice trembles. "That's me?" "Yes," the merchant says. "It's the you who honors your dream." The mirror slowly dims. The images fade, and your reflection returns. Softened, warmed, whole. You step back. The merchant nods once, quietly, as though marking a milestone. You are ready. The merchant leads you out of the meadow and back onto a path lined with softly drifting motes of light. The night feels gentler now, like a blanket being tucked around your shoulders. The stars above shine brighter, but not sharply. They glow with a soft warmth that feels almost protective. You walk in silence for a while, listening to the quiet, listening to your own breath, listening to the subtle hum of the dream settled inside your chest. Finally, the merchant speaks. "Your time here is nearly done." A pang of something tender moves through you. "Oh," he smiles, "do not mourn that. Dreams do not end when this place fades. They return with you." You take another slow breath, feeling the truth in his words. Will I remember all of this? You ask quietly. The merchant considers the question with thoughtful eyes. You will remember what matters, he says. Not every detail, not every scene, but the feeling, the shift, the truth that stays. You nod slowly. You reach the top of a small rise, and the valley spreads out beneath you, glowing, warm, alive. Mist rolls through it like a soft tide. Light shimmers across the ground. Everything feels held in a quiet, sacred hush. The merchant turns to you. Place your hand here, he says, tapping lightly on his own chest just above the heart. You mirror the gesture. The dream responds immediately. A warm pulse radiating outward, gentle and steady. That, he says, is your guide now, not me, not the visions, the warmth inside you. You swallow, emotion rising again. What if I forget how to listen to it? He shakes his head kindly. You won't. You may grow busy, you may grow tired, you may grow uncertain, but you will not forget. Because once a dream wakes, it remembers you as deeply as you remember it. You close your eyes, letting those words settle. When you open them again, the merchant is watching you with the softest expression you've seen yet. You have done everything you needed to do here, he says. Your dream has taken root. It has shown you its direction, and it has chosen you. What happens when I go back, you ask? He nods toward the horizon, where a faint golden light begins to gather. The doorway home. You take one gentle step, he says, and then another. That is all. Dreams grow through the smallest movements. You inhale deeply, feeling the dream glow inside you, warm and steady like a lamp lit in your ribs. The merchant lifts his staff slightly. It is time. A soft path of golden mist unfurls at your feet, leading toward the glowing horizon. You turn to him. Thank you, you whisper. He bows his head. Thank you, he replies, for remembering. You step forward onto the golden path. The warmth in your chest pulses once, almost like a goodbye, almost like a beginning. And then the world dissolves into light. The golden light softens around you, drifting in slow, warm currents that feel almost like a blanket being lowered over your shoulders. Your footsteps grow quieter, lighter, fading gradually into the glow as the dream world begins to dim and dissolve, like a sunrise playing in reverse. The warmth in your chest settles into a steady ember, not bright, not demanding, just present. A quiet reminder that something inside you has shifted, softened, awakened. You carry it now. Every breath brushes against it. Every moment of stillness nourishes it. Around you, the last shapes of the dream fade into gentle darkness. The stars soften. The mist evaporates. The valley slowly folds itself away, like a page being turned with care. You feel the sensation of coming home to your own body, the softness of your pillow, the weight of your blanket, the familiar comfort of your room. But now, something feels different. Something feels more open, more steady, more yours. You take a slow breath, and another. The merchant's final words echo quietly inside you, like a promise woven into your ribs. Once a dream wakes, it remembers you as deeply as you remember it. A gentle warmth spreads through your limbs, guiding them into deeper relaxation. Your shoulders loosen. Your jaw softens. Your hands relax naturally. Your body sinks further into the mattress, grounded and safe. Nothing is expected of you now. Your dream is patient. Your breath is slow. Your mind can drift. You have done enough for today. More than enough. Wherever your dream leads in the days to come, gently, slowly, with small steps, you will move toward it with a little more clarity, a little more softness, a little more trust. For now, though, you can rest. Let yourself sink into the quiet glow inside your chest. Let your thoughts drift like warm clouds through a soft night sky. Let your breath carry the dream deeper into the places that need it most. You are safe. You are held, and your dream is with you, quietly growing, patiently waiting, gently guiding. As sleep gathers at the edges of your awareness, you feel yourself floating into a calm, comforting stillness, one that holds you the way a warm night holds a single flickering lantern. And before you drift fully into rest, I'll leave you with this. Thank you for listening to Mindtales Sleep Stories. If you enjoyed this story, please consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribing, and sharing it with someone who needs a peaceful night. Good night.